About the Alice, Mary Orvis Marbury says that it was an unnamed fly that was given to them by a New Yorker whose last name was Ellis. And so they decided to name the fly after him, but call it Alice, Alice. So I'm tying it on a number 12 2x long hook. I'm using brown thread because I think the illustration has brown head on it, and I am tying it from the illustration by Charles Orvis in Mary's book, Favorite Flies and Their Histories. I have not been able to find any information about this fly anywhere, so I'm guessing at all the ingredients. I am going to use goose biot for the tail. It's definitely a 3-strand tail in the illustration, and so I'm going to try to get this tail to separate itself into its 3 strands. Tying the back one in first, tying under it to see if I can't get it to pull out away from the hook shank, and then I'll tie the middle one in. Tie that in down just right on top of the shank, if I can get it to lay there. And then I'll tie a third one in on the front and try to wrap around the base and get it to spread towards the front of the fly. Try to separate those a little bit anyway. The fly does have a tag, and again, I don't know if the tag is supposed to be under or over the tail, but I'm tying it in above the tail, and I'm using some fine tinsel. It's a bicolor tinsel, silver on one side, gold on the other. The tag is gold, so I'll just flip the tinsel as I wrap it, and I've tied it in a little bit in front of that tail, and then I'll wrap back to the tail. Try not to wrap over the tail and bring those fibers back together too much. Alternative way to do this would be to tie the tag in first and put it down the bend of the shank, and then tie the tail in on top of it. But it's hard to really tell from the illustration how they tied the tag in. So, tying from an illustration, I have to make some guesses. The body is clearly peacock herl, although there again in the illustration it looks like as you get to the front of the body that herl is a light blue, and I don't know if that's just the cork of whatever medium Charles Orvis used when he illustrated these flies for Mary's book, or if that is actually, if they actually had a lighter blue something, feather of some sort that they used. So I'm going to do a herl rope. I do have 5 strands of peacock herl. Go around the loop to tighten it up at the hook shank, and then I'll lift my loop straight up along with my 5 strands of herl and grab all of that with my hackle plier and twist it. The point of the herl rope is to get that thread down the middle of that twist. That'll give some strength to the herl. And then I'll wrap forward on the body, just exposing a tiny little bit of that gold tag. And I can keep also twisting the herl as I wrap. Keep it all twisted together, keep that butt end out of there. And then being conscious to leave room for the front hackle and the wing. So I'll catch that off. Wrap under it, securing wraps. Clip that all out. I'm using this brown hen hackle for the front hackle, and I've taken one of those hackles, grabbing it with my hackle pliers at the tip, and then separating back what's going to get wound. There are 2 ways to do this. One is to tie it in like it is with that long tip and then clip the tip afterwards, or to clip the tip first. Just leave that little triangle, tie it in with that triangle, pull back on it so that it's not crowding the eye, and then some good securing wraps. Then I will take the hackle pliers, grab the stem or quill of that hackle feather, pull back on the fibers as I wrap them so that they lay back. And the illustration does seem to have a fairly full hackle that is wrapped all the way around. It's not just legs underneath. And try to pull back on everything as I wrap. Get that all to lay back. And I'll just wrap till I'm out of fibers on my stem. And I can just wrap up over the stem. Try not to catch in. Oh, I'm going to, and yeah, I'm catching in a lot of fibers up there. Oh, it broke. Well, maybe we're okay. Just pull back on everything here and try to wrap that head. Start wrapping the head. I do need to put a wing in here yet, so just catch up over all of that and make sure it's not going to come out. Got that one fiber out here in front, clip that off. And then you kind of want to just pull down a little bit on the top so that the wing kind of separates it up here on top. Wrap back up on top of that to make sure none of that is going to come out. For the wing, I have this wild turkey feather. I've clipped out 2 sections. This looks like a middle feather, so it's pretty even on both sides. So I'm just clipping a section off of each side and then putting them together. And I'll lay that wing on top, and about the length of the hook shank, maybe a little bit longer for the wing. Loose wrap and then cinch it down. Get that tied in. Then I'll lift up on the butt ends and go underneath. And then I'm going to come back up on top again and get my thread far enough up the hook so that it's not going to fall off the eye. Clip out the extra wing material. Clip out that extra hackle fiber. And then just wrap up over that wing material for the head. And put a whip finish on it. So I don't know, are there rules about whip finishing? 2, 3, 4, couple, just one? I'm going to head cement it, so I'm not real concerned about that not coming undone. The head cement I use is a diluted Goop, and there is a recipe for the head cement in the description. So the Alice, named after the man who gave this fly to the Orvis Company, to Mary and Charles Orvis, as illustrated by Charles Orvis, featured in the trout flies in Mary's book, Favorite Flies and Their Histories.